what brings us to Australia? An airplane, for one. We came to Australia for one reason and one reason only, and that is
the summer gnats.
the summer gnats has been a huge surprise. We come from a car culture that's taken very seriously. Drag racers, a lot of money is being spent, a lot of time is being paid attention to how the car looks, how the car performs, and the financial backing behind them. So when we came to Australia to see what you guys do, well, there's a lot of seriousness, but there's a lot of fun embedded into it.
Exactly. We had no idea what to expect. And whenever we got here, we didn't realize, but we soon realized that the car culture has taken over the whole entire country.
So, the show Street Outlaws has its own demographic. And we can assume, we can look at metrics, we can guess at all of who our fans are. But when it comes to knowing what countries adopt our show, what our show is even aired in, we have no idea. So when we came to Australia and saw the amount of fans that we have that have watched our show and have fallen in love with that street racing culture, man, it's blown us away.
It's like building horsepower. There's so many Street Outlaw fans here. We were just blown away, and also we were welcomed, as car guys always welcome other car guys, like family. It's been amazing.
The response from the fans has been actually overwhelming. We had no idea that there was going to be this many people that actually knew who we were. We're normal guys. There's nothing about us in our hometown that's any different than just walking to a grocery store and buying goods. So that's just us. We consider ourselves relatively boring, and so for people to look at us and look up to us, heck, I'm 5'5". Nobody looks up to me. So it's absolutely incredible and a dream come true that we never had.
The best part of the Summer Nats so far is the burnouts. We had thought that we knew what a burnout was, but we were quickly educated in Australia on what a burnout really is, and that is
it's a full-fledged tire-destroying burnout.
Yes.
Yeah, the burnouts that we do in America, for one, are functional. They heat up the tires, they allow us to get traction, and allow the tires to adhere to the surface. There's the secondary, just recreational burnout where you sit still, and whoever can put out as much smoke as possible. There's a point system here for every single maneuver that you guys do. There's time-related. There are metrics related to each burnout. But also, there's fun applied to your burnouts. It's a competition, but the number one rule is to have as much fun as possible, and that's what we're learning.
The burnouts here are all about destruction. Do you guys, I don't know, do the Australians have something against tires or something? We weren't sure about that, if there was a grudge against tires, but they destroyed tires. They hate tires over here.
Oh, no, they do not like them. It's kill all tires at all times. So they threw me completely to the wolves, and they put me in what they call Killer B, professional driver, grandmaster, burnout contest winner, professional, and I didn't know what to expect. And I'll tell you what, right out of the gate, it's like riding a bull, and you're on for 8 seconds, and then you think the ride is over, and the ride has just begun. The tip-in, what you guys call it, is absolutely insane, and then it just keeps going. Then you can't see a thing, and so it's like you're on fire. But someone's in control of it.
I rode in this first-gen Camaro. Peter Gray was the driver, professional driver, literally drove the wheels off of it, drove the tires right off of this thing. It was kind of like being on a ride at the fair, but the ride was on fire. But everyone was excited that the ride was on fire, okay? And, it got a little, we were spinning around so much, soon I didn't know where we were, what was happening, because I couldn't see anything. It was awesome. It was amazing. Had a great time.
I guess disorientation is the initiation here in Australia. The Australian car scene is Well, for one, it's completely different because the cars are completely different, and we're not used to the different makes and models here, so we're getting a major education on that, and it's hard to remember all of that, but we're trying to, okay, Holden, okay, Commodore, all right, Vauxhall, what is and what isn't. Some has a GM power plant, but the people behind each car, they take it seriously, but it's seriously fun. They put all this money into their cars. They paint them to immaculately. They put this 700 cubic inch engine in it, and then they destroy it. It reminds me of being a little kid and spending hours and hours in the sandbox building a castle, only to want to destroy it. That's what it's like to me.
Yeah, they definitely use and abuse their vehicles. They build them. Ships weren't made to stay in port. And the Aussies, they build these cars, and they are used and abused.
And one thing that's a common trait in America, and it's frowned upon, but it's still frequently used, is they call them trailer queens. And these cars are built, amazingly. They're 6-digit, $100,000 cars, $200,000 cars, and they're built to show. That's all they do. They build them. They put these giant 24-inch wheels in the back. They
Exactly.
pro tour.
They're never driven.
Ever driven. You'll talk to the owners and they're like, hey, how many times did you drive this year? And they'll tell you, never. It's sat on a rotisserie in their house in the middle of the living room. They probably don't have any oil in them.
They're perfect and boring.
Yeah, at the same time.
Perfectly boring.
And you guys will take that car and you'll shred the tires and knock the fenders off that bitch and smile about it.
And then when you guys are done, you'll be riding away with a trail of flames coming out the back.
To talk about us, we go way back. I've probably known Farmtruck for 15 years. I was a young kid. I had lost my parents. I was lost. I didn't know what direction I was going to take. I knew I liked cars. I had a car. I had just put a small block in it. All my friends, they had no clue either. But I found this one guy on the streets of Route 66. The heart of America.
Oh yeah, that was the first place we raced.
Yep, and I was in my little '64 Chevy 2 4-door, which is very Australian, and he had his C10 pickup with a small block in it.
Oh, he had heard the rumors about the Farmtruck, but he wanted to step up and give it a shot. And I had heard rumors about him that he had lost his mother and father. And I don't know, we raced, we pulled over, we started talking, but mainly we started laughing. He cracked jokes, I cracked jokes. That was, 15, 18 years ago, and we've been laughing ever since. So I don't know, man, there's just something between us that, we're car guys. I don't know. What do you think, Asian?
I think the main point that drew me to Farmtruck was the fact that he has no ego. He doesn't have a chip on his shoulder, and he beat me the first time I met him. He beat me in the street race. He had beaten every single one of my friends. He was holding the trophy for being the street king at that time, and I was the last race out of all my friends. I thought I could overtake him. I couldn't. We pulled over, and he was happy to show me every single thing he's done to that pickup without any hesitation. And I don't think most people do that. Everything's a secret. Everything is their ego hiding how they did it. And he had no problem taking me under his wing and showing me exactly how to do what he's done. This man wants everybody to be successful, and that's one thing that is carried on, and it's a tradition of ours to make sure if anybody has a question, a serious question to understand how to improve their life, how to be better at what they want to do, tell them, teach them, and take time to capture their enthusiasm for the sport.
If you want to be successful, you have to wish success for everyone. And that's what I do. That's what we do. We want everyone around us to be successful. So that'll help us be successful. We never thought that we would be making a TV show or making a living off of street racing. We didn't know that our lives were interesting. We had done it for 10 or 15 years before the show came along. We're still in awe that people think our lives are interesting. We think we're normal guys, We just happen to go out in the middle of the night and race people for money.
And I think that one thing that we have learned that we didn't know at the time was that don't pursue fame, don't pursue money, have perseverance. And that's the one thing. You will obtain whatever it is that you want in life if you keep doing it, no matter what. Perseverance will beat talent. Every single time if talent doesn't have perseverance. So eventually, if you have perseverance, you will get that talent. And the person with talent will get lazy, and they will start asking you how you did it. And so the one thing I've learned from him, he didn't buy a Camaro. He didn't trade his truck in for a brand new Porsche. He said, no, this is my truck. I'm going to keep doing it. I kept my Nova. I'm going to keep doing it. And it became his mascot. It became his brand. And so anybody that thinks they're going to give up and sell their vehicle and start on something that's an easier project, don't. You have to persevere. You have to get past the tough times. And when the going gets tough, you got to find some different friends to help you get past that.
We will persevere. Oh, the list has been around a long, long time, way before the show. The list was started in Oklahoma City by Big Chief. It's his list, and he's organized us. He's a good leader. We're proud that he represents us. He does a good job with that.
And the list represents truly the fastest cars we feel in the world. Anybody who's anybody has heard of the list, and they've heard of the list, and they can say that they are the fastest in the world, but the fact that they're calling themselves that is because they've heard of our list first. And if they haven't come out and challenged us, everybody say, well, you need to come to Minnesota, you need to come to Sweden, you need to come to... No, you don't pick a fight with somebody and then ask them to come to you. So you go to them, you knock on their door, you go face to face, you put in your mouthpiece, you walk forward and you grit your teeth and you start punching. That's what you do. And same goes for a street race. If you want to call someone out, you go to their doorstep and you race them.
Also, street racing is the equalizer. The street is the equalizer. At the track, the guy with the most money wins. But on the street, not necessarily. The driver, the guy that put the most time into his car, he's the guy that's going to persevere. I don't know. I grew up, a block away from Route 66. I could hear people street racing out there all the time. I think we have the weather for it. We also have a lot of flat, straight roads. There's a huge car culture there. And I think that's what kind of makes it, ever since I was a little kid. I was flagging street races with a flashlight above my head for my brothers and his friends. It's just something that we grew up with, We really don't have a choice. We have to.
Yeah. What makes the 405 to be the mecca of street racing is simply the fact that we had nothing better to do but to get in trouble. Hey, you go to the West Coast, you can surf. You got cruises, you got car shows, you got amazing weather. Yeah. You go to the East Coast, you got the same, man. You got Cuban cigars, you got great weather, you got great fishing. You go up north, you can go skiing. You go to Texas, you got Mexico, you got all these things to do. But when you go to the Midwest, you got a bunch of rowdy rednecks that got nothing better to do but fight in street racing. You know what?
We're about out of beer. Everything about the Farmtruck, it was built, I always say you have to take the long way home every time if you're going to build a true sleeper. We can use the bed, the batteries, the fuel pump, the fuel tank, it's all underneath the vehicle. We can open up the tailgate, we can haul bricks if we want. Everyone that builds a pickup truck, most of them will just put the fuel cell right in the bed and the battery right there. It's the easy thing to do. But I've always wanted to build a sleeper. I've always wanted to have a truck. And it's just slowly evolved. So it was a lot of work to hide those battery boxes and fuel pumps and fuel cells underneath the truck. But it looking like a true sleeper was the most important thing. Not being the fastest, I wanted it to be the funnest. And it's evolved into, I've always been a big block kind of guy. We started off with a 400 small block. That lasted about a year, blew it up, put a 502 crate motor. That was the best thing that we ever did to that thing. So we put that big block in it, and it lasted 14 years. We sprayed thousands and thousands of bottles through it, but it never gave up. It just kept on going. And now we have a 632 with 2 kits of nitrous. It's absolutely stupid. The truck was never meant to do what it does, but we have a lot of fun making it do that.
The Dung Beetle was a collaboration between Farmtruck and myself. We had to decide what type of vehicle I was going to introduce to the show as we were progressing with the street race. We knew I had to have a vehicle, and to go and to keep the brand going of Asian, it had to be an import of some sort, but it had to be something that represented us and represented the American culture as well. And what better represents the American culture than an imported Volkswagen Bug? So it just only seems that that had to remain true, but also we had to keep with the purists. We couldn't just throw a random engine. We had to make sure that it stayed pure to that culture, so it had to be air-cooled. And then it had to be fast, which is very difficult. And the biggest myth of a Volkswagen Bug is that they're cheap to build. That's a lie. So anybody listening, don't try to build a Volkswagen Bug for less than $100,000. It's simply impossible to make them fast. I mean, that's not what mine cost, but if we've borrowed parts, we've begged for parts, and we've made it as quick as possible without breaking the bank. And what makes it all possible, what makes it consistent, what keeps the car going is the Haltech fuel system. It manages my fuel. It manages my ignition. It tells me my data at the end of each pass. It tells me what I'm doing wrong. And the best way to describe the Haltech system, it's an open source software, so to speak. If you buy a Macintosh, it's pretty user friendly. It's got a nice interface. It's beautiful. It's pretty. But the fact is, you can't go and make changes yourself. This is more of a Linux type system where you can do anything that you can imagine, but you have to learn the technology.
Yeah, Asians picked up the accent before we even got off the plane.
Yeah.
Let's hear a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has become our adopted. Yeah. You guys are like, yeah. You blend a lot of your words together. One of the first things that kind of caught our attention, and I did not want to know what it meant until we got here, was you guys love a dessert called Golden Gay Time. But it's not what anybody in America would think it is.
All right, America, it's not really a golden gay time. It really isn't.
You stick it in your mouth, but it's not a man. It's essentially an ice cream. It's a frozen dessert that you can buy at, I assume, just about any grocery store here. And it seems like it's a part of tradition for you guys to introduce that to Americans that roll into town.
But if you get one, you will have a golden gay time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. One thing after a victory, there's an important trademark of ours that has continued and it's become a tradition, and that is Farmageddon!
Yeah. Also, just like to say, it's the cars that bring all the car guys together, and it's the people that keep us together. Because car guys are family. And it's amazing to be a part of it.
We've done a lot of shows. We've made a lot of appearances. We've probably done over 100 of them across the U.S. We've been to Canada, and people are amazing. The fans have been incredible. But the one common denominator that we have found when meeting fans is the Aussie people have seemed to be the most considerate. They ask before hey, can I have a picture? Would you mind if I could have your autograph? They ask for permission. They introduce themselves before they just approach us. The Aussie people have been the most friendly fans that we've ever encountered, and we've learned from it. And I hope that other people could learn from the consideration that you guys have, the manners that you guys have, and another thing that I've noticed that you guys have follow through. When you start something, you finish it. And I'm sure that's not an absolute, and it's not an absolute for any country, but that seems to be a common trend with you guys, is that when you start something, you finish it. And man, that's honorable.
I don't know about that, Asian.
No.
They're real nice at first.
Yeah.
They invite us over,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
And then they kick rubber and smoke in our face.
Yeah, you know what? I'm done with this interview. Are you done with it?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? You can have
Yeah.
it.
All right.
Let's get rid of it.
We got some burnouts to
we're
go
done.
to.
We're done.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.